Well, a couple things before I get started. Number one, the question that many of you are probably asking is, who is that guy? And so I decided I wanted to give my own introduction. Is that okay? I remember years ago sitting down and talking to Chuck Missler when I was in San Diego. We had this conversation, and I was talking about ministry and opportunities, and we got into this discussion about standing before God and giving an account of our lives. And Chuck told me, he says, I know the first question God's going to ask me. Now that got my attention, right? I'm standing before Jesus. I'd like to know what that first question is so I can be prepared. And Chuck said, Jesus isn't going to want to know about my, quote, travels, about my books, about my briefing packages, about my passion and trips to Israel. Jesus is going to ask me the very first question: how'd you do with that wife I gave you? I've never forgot that. And so, my introduction, I love my wife. And we've been married, 34 years. And if you want to know about me, you need to know that Dan Stolebarger guy loves his wife. And then I want you also to know that God has blessed me with 3 boys. And I want you to know I love Lucas and Trevor and Jesse. And I would give my life for them. And I pray for them every single morning that they would be the men that God desires for them to be. I take my responsibility as husband and father. It's number 1 to me. And then God, in His grace and mercy, every so often kisses us on the cheek and we get grandkids, right? Now, there's a little joke up in heaven about the Stolebarger family that they'll never have girls. So I have 2 grandsons, Jackson and Hayden, 2 little boys, and I also have one on the way. Birth date, December 24th. And due to modern technology, guess what? It's a boy. And boy, do I love my grandbabies. Who's this guy? This Dan Stolebarger guy, he loves his wife. He loves his kids. He loves his grandkids. And Mom, I know you're listening. 5 years ago, I was in San Diego. I was a happy man. I was the executive director of The Rock, an amazing church in San Diego. And then, you know how the Lord every so often likes to disrupt your lives? Anybody experience that? I was content. I was happy. And the Lord started gnawing on me. And all of a sudden, I realized my time there was short. This Missler guy got a hold of me and said, "Hey, Dan, how about moving up to northern Idaho?"